Hello again, and welcome to this episode of the Guns Magazine podcast. I'm your host and the editor of Guns Magazine, Brent Wheat. We've got what I think is a pretty important episode today. I'm talking to NRA board member and the owner of Gunsight Academy, Buz Mills, about all the dumpster fire that is the National Rifle Association versus the state of New York. Buz is one of the leaders of trying to reform the organization, and he brings a pretty hopeful message to our discussion. Before we get to that, though, here's a quick word from our great sponsor, For Patriots.
Prepare for those just-in-case situations with delicious and long-lasting emergency food kits from For Patriots. These survival meals will give your family the energy they need to get through any emergency. Their survival food kits are a great combination of taste and shelf life, making them perfect for any situation. And as a special offer to the Guns Magazine podcast audience, if you go to forpatriots.com/gunmag, you'll get weekly special deals and discounts. That's forpatriots.com/gunmag.
Well, good afternoon, Buz Mills.
Good afternoon, Brent Wheat. How are you?
I am glorious, as I often say. I appreciate you talking to us here on the Guns Magazine podcast via telephone. And I've got to start this episode off, first off, with a major apology. We just got back last week from the Shooting Hunting Outdoor Trade Show, and Buz was kind enough to come by our booth on Media Row and take time out from his extremely busy schedule and talk about what we're going to talk about today. And somehow, some way, the gremlins of the electronic age sabotaged that interview. So I apologize deeply, and I really appreciate you giving us a second shot at talking to you.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a real pleasure to be with you. I always enjoy your company, and of course, FMG has always done great things. One of the first subscriptions I had to Gun Magazine was back in '76. And so that said, you guys, like I say, you always do a fantastic job. And you do a good job nowadays with the podcast, too, in spite of the electronic gremlins. And, I was in the electronic communications industry for a long time, so don't try and blame me, even though I was there a long time. Don't try and blame me for your electronic gremlins.
I definitely.
Although I chased many an electronic gremlin in my day, I understand.
I know you have, and to the point, I know you were climbing towers here just about a year ago when you guys were upgrading the internet there at Gunsight. So.
Yeah, well, that's how I started out. That's how I started out way long, 60 plus years ago as a young man, doing that kind of work, that heavy construction work, building towers and bridges and that kind of stuff. And it was exciting, moved all over around the country. But, where we are right now, I want to tell you about the NRA. Where we are right now this is an exciting time. This is a watershed moment at the NRA, because we have got, yesterday was Wayne LaPierre's final day. Of course, he's been in the New York courtroom for a couple of weeks. But yesterday was his final day on his notice of resignation to the NRA after, I don't know how many years, probably more than 30, been around a long time. And that sort of thing. But we are now at a point now where we have an opportunity to renew, for one, the trust of America and our members in the NRA, which has fallen off in recent years due to all these allegations and everything, and that have come to the fore in the court cases. So I've kind of taken the lead, if you will, with the board members, stressing the opportunity that we have right now, because this is exciting. We have an opportunity to set the course for the NRA for future generations. And, NRA's been here around for 153 years. We've done a lot of good things. You got Miller and Heller and Bruin cases. In '04, we had Lawful Commerce and Arms Act that actually saved single-handedly, and it was all done by the NRA. Nobody else had a hand in it. Saved American firearms manufacturers by making it. We got the law passed at the federal level that a victim of a shooting can't sue a firearms manufacturer. Of course, everybody has to test all the laws, so there's a test going on right now. But essentially, for the last 20 years, there haven't been any. Nobody has tested this law. So there you go. America would not be the country it is today without the NRA. The NRA has just been foremost in protecting our Second Amendment rights. And the left tries to make all these excuses about it's for hunting, or it's for this, or it's for that. No, the Second Amendment was written by a bunch of guys that were hanging out. They weren't happy with the Constitution without some protections against the government in it. And so they were hanging out, and they had just defeated the world's best, largest, most fantastic army on the planet. And these colonists had defeated them. And so they knew, because the first battle at Lexington and Concord, the Brits were coming to take their guns away. That was what it was all about. And so the Second Amendment, that's why it was put in there, is to protect you and me from our government, from overzealous, overreaching, overregulating government, which we're getting awful close to needing it. But we've got it, and I think the other side is they do take notice.
Absolutely.
President Biden, he's sitting there and he says, "Oh yeah, you're going to need more than an AR-15 to take on an F-16." Well, maybe not, because that guy's got to go home at night, and he's got to leave home in the morning, and he's living amongst us. So he's not going to be he's not going to relish that job the way that is, what is it Donald Trump calls him, Crooked Joe. He's not going to look at that job flying that F-16 like maybe Joe thinks he's going to look at it. At
Exactly.
any rate.
Well, it's interesting. You take a kind of different tack. You take a positive tack, and I think you're correct. But there's a lot of doom and gloom around the NRA right now, and
it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. There's a small cabal of folks that were involved in all of this, and look, we need to have enough votes to get a new an interim executive vice president put in place, and we need to have enough votes to get another president put in place, and that'll all come at the annual meeting. The date to remember is May 20th, 2024, because that is the biggest election to come up this year. We got another big one in November, but right now, this one is paramount, because the people that let me stop that alarm on my watch. The people that were involved in this, there's going to be some of them are censured or disciplined or whatever by the court in New York before then, and then there's still several anyway, folks left around in the NRA that were complicit with this chicanery going on, malfeasance, misappropriation of funds, that sort of thing. Because we had an audit committee, and we had a chairman of the audit committee, and we had a vice chair, and we had several other members that were the watchdogs, the members' watchdogs, if you will. And the members' watchdogs were to see that our employees, being executive vice president. He was an employee of the association and was supposed to answer to the board. But these folks, when made aware of wrongdoing, instead of coming to the board and saying, "Hey, look, folks, we got a problem. We need to solve this with some wrongdoing here." And instead of doing that, when they heard about it the first time, which was over 20 years ago, they swept it under the rug and forgave the people that were doing it and went on as business as usual. And all that did, of course, was forgive bad behavior and encourage more of it. And so we got more and more and more of it. And, Letitia James is one of the luckiest people in the world. She is, Brett. She was running for AG in New York. And so she said she thought it would play good with her constituency to say, I'm going to go after the NRA and I'm going to go after Donald Trump. And so lo and behold, she did. She started after the NRA. She had no idea how she was going to get them. She had no idea of any wrongdoing. And boy, she started scraping that thin veneer off the surface. And what she found, it was a gift. We gave that woman, the NRA, permitted all of this wrongdoing by management. The board did. And as soon as they started scraping back the thin veneer on the surface, they found all this, and it was a gold mine. It was free for her, and so it made her made it easy for her to fulfill her campaign promise.
Yep.
Well, little did we know it, but that's done. Since all this started, we've lost 40% of our members. We're under 3 million now. So, but what this did is Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, she has done a big favor for the NRA, for the membership, for the donors, for all the people that the NRA serves, for all the Eddie Eagle programs that we do in schools, for all the education and training, all of this stuff. She has done these people a tremendous favor because now we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to vote in competent, honest leadership. And the people are wondering about it, and they're scratching their head and wandering around like crazy, But hey, look, now's the time to go to work. Now's the time to step in to the breach and take advantage of the opportunity that the courts have given us to put competent, honest people in charge and move forward. But we're always going to have a requirement to protect the Second Amendment throughout the states, not just at the federal level, but at the state level, which we have done. And then we've carried the wins at the state level on to the U.S. Supreme Court, and we've won there. We have a track record. And regardless of all the BS that's going on, we have a track record of that. We have a track record. The NRA trains more law enforcement agencies in America, trains their personnel in firearms than any other organization, because there are so many law enforcement organizations that do not have a staff like, say, LAPD or Chicago or New York. They all have plenty of money, lots of staff to have their own trainers. Well, most small law enforcement communities in America don't have that. So they depend on the NRA. And we've trained tens of thousands of law enforcement officers. We've trained hundreds of thousands of civilians. And then what we do, in education and as far as Eddie Eagle and shooting sports and all of these things that the NRA does. And so of all, if you just look at all the good stuff, now over the last few years, we haven't done a lot because they've taken most of the money out to pay the lawyers. And so, hundreds of millions of dollars have gone to lawyers. that money is not serving well our constituency being 5.5 million members we had a few years ago. And then thousands of people think they are NRA members because they were at one time and then it expired. But all these supporters, we have tens of millions of supporters, and I think we put our shoulder to the wheel and get to work here. We are going to see a rebirth of the enthusiasm and the energy in the NRA that you haven't seen in a long time.
Absolutely. And, talking to folks at the SHOT Show, I almost wonder if the left-wingers and even the mainstream media that don't like the NRA understand the tidal wave of support and money that will come through if and when we can reestablish trust in the administration. Because I was talking to a couple of different companies. They've been escrowing their usual contributions to the NRA, and as soon as they feel that it's safe to do so, I think people like that are just going to start bringing forth money that we haven't seen for years, and probably a lot of folks are going to join that had lapsed. So I do like your message of hope if we can get this thing turned around.
Well, I'm confident that we can get it turned around. I'm not going to do anything else between now and that annual meeting in May in Dallas, except work towards that end. I've been a member of the NRA since the mid-1950s, and I couldn't afford to be a life member until about 1984. But since then, I've been a life member, and then I had an opportunity to serve on the board in 2009, and I've been fortunate enough that the members put me back in there every year since then. So I've been on there for 15 years, and it's just it's been a struggle, but I feel like we're doing the Lord's work here, and we have to stick with it.
Absolutely. And, one last thing is I think it's wonderful that Wayne is gone, because that's something that I deal with in the media. And I know another media person that was just reporting on this and actually got death threats over that. And
I'm not surprised at that.
To me, it's almost insane that people still defend Wayne LaPierre after he admitted in court some of the things that he's done. But I think it's nice now that he's gone. That's yesterday's history, and we can move forward if we can get the right folks in there. And his stamp is on the organization, that's for sure. So what I would tell current NRA members is make sure you understand who you're voting for and make sure that they are not beholden in some way to the old regime.
Exactly, and because we've got a tremendous opportunity here. We cannot squander this, and the NRA has done so much good. I'm sure that we can do it again. And I too spent 5 days at the SHOT Show, and I talked to a lot of manufacturers, and I talked to a lot of industry people, and it's I found the same thing you did. Everybody's just kind of sitting back, saying ho hum. You guys get your house in order, and everybody will come home. Yep. And I can feel that. I can feel that with the members I talk to, former members, potential members, and some of the benefactors, some of the people that have made large investments in the NRA, and but it's we're going to have to. We owe it to America to do this, to do it right, and we've got to earn the trust back of our existing members, our past members that we want to come home, and we have got to earn the trust of the American people. And the country would not be what it is today without the NRA. And if you just look at the 2016 election. we were very active in NRA was very active in the 2016 election, and we won that one. And then the NRA was sitting the 2020 election out, and I believe it hurt us.
Exactly.
So that kind of tells the whole tale. How important this organization is. Not to me or you or the industry, although the industry is very important. We have to earn their trust back as well. But to the country as a whole, everybody wins when we win. When we win in, say, the Heller case about concealed carry, everybody wins. It's not just NRA members. So what we do benefits everybody.
Wow. Great words, perfect words to end this interview on. So folks need to, as I said, make sure they know who they're voting for in May in Dallas at the NRA convention. And of course, before we go, Buz Mills, the owner of Gunsight Academy, tell us about Gunsight Academy.
Gunsight is just fabulous. Everybody is doing great work here. We're having a great winter. We're doing a lot of rebuilding, refurbishing, painting, that sort of thing that we don't have time to do during the busy season. But the important thing is, Brent, when are you coming to Gunsight?
I knew you'd get that in there. You always do. Well, Buz, thank you. And again, apologies for that first little mess up, but I do like that we got to talk again. And I love your uplifting message that we can move past what has been a pretty ugly chapter in the history of the organization after 150 some years. And now we can move forward. So great talking to you, Buz, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, Brent. Have a great day.
I'm glad Buz Mills took time out to talk to us, and I hope the membership heeds his plea to vote in administration at the NRA that kind of cleans house and sets the organization up for another 150 years of great service to our country. Well, before we go, I'd like to remind you, please check out our great sponsor, 4 Patriots. If you go to 4patriots.com, type in /gunmag. That's where you can see all the special deals and discounts exclusively for the Guns Magazine podcast audience. That's the number 4, the word patriots.com, type in /gunmag, and you can get all kinds of great discounts and deals for your preparedness supplies. Well, that's it for this episode of the Guns Magazine podcast. On behalf of everybody here at FMG Publications, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, reminding you, now get out there and get shooting.